playing Junk Reanimator. Again, McDuffie is going to be up a game to start this match here. I'm taking a look at the Esper control deck. The first thing you do want to look for, again, is the Graveyard Hate. See how he does have a way to interact with Unburial Rites from McDuffie. And you do see 2 copies of Rest in Peace. You do see a Purify the Grave in his sideboard. And what we have seen multiple times over the course of this weekend, as both players are just going to start with a couple of lands, is you do see this Esper control deck being able to win and beat Reanimator decks with Jace Memory of Death. And there is 1 in the main deck of Humphries and 1 in the sideboard, which almost certainly came in. We'll see if he does use the same game plan that we saw over the course of the Invitational, which is to stabilize the board, gum it up a little bit, and then start milling your opponent out immediately.
Yep. And one big difference here now between, or 2 actually in this match with what we saw previously. 1, Rest in Peace, much more effective as a Graveyard Hate card than the Ground Seals in the Grafdigger's Cage, because even if it gets removed from the game, it's had an effect. So that one-shot kind of Tormod crypting is very valuable. That's something that that Pat Cox did not have available to him. Second, we see in Korey's list, we just have fewer ways to get that off the board. Yeah. He only has 2 6 lines and 2 Abrupt Decays, yeah. Whereas we saw 3 and 3.
Yep, from
Olcheski's deck in the previous match. So
not only that, you saw main deck decays too.
Yep.
As we do see a Temple Garden here from McDuffie. That Grizzly Salvage again netting Grizzly Salvage netting another Grizzly Salvage, a Mulch, an Abrupt Decay, an Overgrown Tomb, and a Temple Garden. McDuffie did take the Temple Garden. You see him play for his turn and pass the turn back. So he's certainly not off to a very fast start, but this matchup is very slow and grindy. So getting off to a quick start with Pilgrims and maybe a Lotless Troll or Lingering Souls, not really that big of a deal here.
I agree with you there. And even possibly he's cut some of those cards to make him just less susceptible to Supreme Verdict. He knows he probably has inevitability if the game goes longer. I mean, barring Six's Revelation shenanigans.
As we are going to see Humphries just play a Godless Shrine. He did Cycle Azorius Trevor, of course, build a little bit of velocity, make sure you can hit those land drops, get into a longer game, start to, cast those large Sphinx Revelations, and we are going to see McDuffie cast a Garruk Relentless, a card that we'll bring up on the screen for you guys, as this is a card that started to pick up a little bit of traction. Once Junk Reanimator became such a big deck, this was a way to be able to fight those Mana Accelerants and catch up when you're behind, or when you're ahead with Mana Accelerants, stay ahead and kill theirs.
Yep.
But alternatively, this is a card that, is actually good against control decks because it's a 4-mana Planeswalker that just pumps out wolves, and if it does flip, maybe fighting something, maybe fighting your own guy, that's when you see him be able to search out acidic slimes.
Yep. And here we see Jake Humphries choosing to not counter. I believe he has a Dissipate in his hand. He lets that Garruk Relentless resolve, which is it's surprising to me because he also has a Rest in Peace in his hand, so he can already go after Korey's Graveyard angle.
Okay.
So I would think this Garruk actually is a pretty potent threat. I do not see a Restoration Angel in his hand to kind of pick it off. That would be the kind of the main reason, but it's possible that the back card is a Restoration Angel. I actually think it is. I think it's a Promo Restoration Angel, which would explain why he doesn't really care that much about this Garruk Relentless.
As we do see a Watery Grave come into play for Humphries tapped. He does pass a turn back. McDuffie untaps. He draws. We'll see if McDuffie wants to lead off with an Acidic Slime. This is something that we did see Brian Braun do multiple times over the course of the weekend. By starting your turn with Acidic Slime, as he is going to do right now, it forces Humphries' hand pre-combat.
Exactly. You don't have to throw your wolf away now when he plays that Restoration Angel.
Absolutely. So is he going to dissipate this? And he says that's okay. Kiss that Hollow Fountain goodbye. Likely going to float some mana here. He's going to cast the Restoration Angel.
The other real question is, do we throw that wolf in there so we can then fight post-combat and kill the Restoration Angel? Or do we save the wolf for future combat steps? I suspect we're going to want to save this wolf.
Save the wolf and then you're okay letting the Garruk go?
The Garruk's going to go either way.
Sure. I mean, are you okay with trading the wolf and the Garruk to get rid of the angel?
Right.
That's the big question. And
Jake actually showed Jake wants to keep his Restoration Angel in play.
Because if you're on Jake's side, you see the wolf come across. You can trade your Restoration Angel for the wolf token and the Garruk, or you can just let your Restoration Angel stay and then take care of the Garruk and pass the turn back. And, he gets to untap and get some more info.
But doing this now, he's going to take 6 next turn instead of just 2.
Yep.
And his hand does not have a sweeper. It does not have a Sphinx Revelation. We see a Terminus drawn and not Miracled. Oh, right, because he has to kill the Garruk.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the way that he drew it made it feel like maybe he drew it too quickly.
Yep.
But maybe his thinking was, if I draw Terminus, I'm not casting. He already knew.
Which
he already
is correct.
came to the decision. Yeah, I'm not casting this as it does not do anything for me. So he's going to take down the Garruk Relentless with the Angel. He is going to pass the turn back, and as you said, Tom, he's trading 6 life to kill that Garruk. Which, if you're McDuffie, you're probably pretty happy about that.
Well, he's trading 6 life to save his Restoration Angel.
Sure.
Right, because the Garruk would have died either way. Had he blocked with Resto, the Garruk would have fought and died. and then the board would just be acidic slime for Korey and nothing for Jake. I personally slightly prefer that, but I'm not sold that it's necessarily correct.
So now we see McDuffie's hand of Restoration Angel. He has a Thragtusk, a Craterhoof Behemoth, an Unbearer Rights, and another Acidic Slime. So certainly a healthy amount of options here.
Yep.
Also has Gavin Township activations as well. So he can pace the game in such a way that he can force multiple Wraths from Humphries, as we do know he has a Terminus, and make it very, very difficult on Humphries to ever be able to really stabilize and be able to cast a large Sphinx's Revelation, as we are going to see McDuffie go with Acidic Slime yet again and keep attacking Jake's mana.
He knows he needs to keep Jake off of 6 lands. And here, actually, Jake, I believe, only has 2 blue mana sources as well. Jake probably has to dissipate this Acidic Slime because of his the vulnerability of his mana base right now. And the nice thing for him is if he dissipates this Acidic Slime, and then he terminuses the other one to the bottom, there's not another Acidic Slime in the graveyard to Unbearable Rights.
Yeah.
So the terminus, instead of the Screenbird being kind of critical there, we see a Snapcaster Mage drawn here, but still only 2 blue mana. It looks like a Godless Shrine, an Isolated Chapel, a Glacial Fortress, a Watery Grave, and 2 Nephalia Drown Yards.
Yep.
So with only 2 blue mana, he cannot go Snapcaster Dissipate.
Yep.
That is not an option he has available to him.
If you're Humphries, do you pull the trigger on that Terminus this turn, or do you wait? Because it looks like he's going to wait, but what do you do in that spot?
I think waiting there is probably fine. The rest of those are very good at holding the board. You're not that afraid of Korey kind of coming over the top of you. That said, I think we're going to end up seeing a blinked Acidic Slime taking out another blue mana source here. Is what I think Korey will end up doing. Again, just keep going after that mana base.
And you see Korey taking a look at his graveyard here, surveying his options. You see the draw for the turn is a Cavernous Soul. So if he does want to push through a Restoration Angel and blink Acidic Slime, he certainly can do that. As you see Restoration Angel looking like it's going to try to hold down the 4 here against these 2 Wolf tokens and that Slime Ball.
Well, Slime Ball is going to attack for sure, because Korey would love to trade the Slime Ball with the Restoration Angel and get it in his graveyard.
And get it in his graveyard, yeah, absolutely.
I might even attack with everyone. You know that Jake has a lot of Wraths in his deck, so you don't want to build up a huge board state.
Sure.
I'd be willing to even sack a Wolf to shock here, I think. We know that Jake holding the Terminus, but no additional land drop might get knocked off of his ability to Wrath by the Acidic Slime.
This was an attack I was going to ask you about before Korey made it, because I had a feeling he was going to make this attack. He attacks with just the 1 Acidic Slime, offering up the trade. Because if he attacks with the 2 Wolf tokens in the Acidic Slime, maybe the Restoration Angel immediately just jumps in front of the Wolf token, no thinking. Yeah, necessary. So if he attacks with just the Acidic Slime, he's saying, if you want to trade here, we can do that.
Yep.
And I think Korey is, as you said, is super happy to make that trade. Maybe he misses out on 2 points of damage this way, though. That could come back to be relevant, as we are going to see a Thragtusk here from McDuffie post-combat.
Yeah, I think that's certainly not a bad creature to be casting here. And it will resolve. We know that from looking at Jake's hand and seeing his mana situation. Thragtusk inherently resilient to Wraths, makes the 3/3 down the backside. I do think if this is your line and you're playing the Thragtusk, I like throwing away a Wolf for more damage.
Sure.
Because you're basically putting Jake in a position where if he doesn't Wrath, he's going to lose.
Yep.
And so if he has to Wrath anyway, why not throw it? Why not get in an extra 2?
Yep.
Biggest that the Beast token that you get on the back end of the Thragtusk might just be enough on its own.
Keep the attack going.
Yeah. I think if he's instead going to play the Acidic Slime, the Restoration Angel blinking Acidic Slime, it makes more sense.
So we are going to see a John Year activation. Humphries is going to target himself. Water Grave, Drown Catacomb, and Think Twice are the cards that are turned over. Yeah, your line of play certainly adds up. It certainly does make sense, as you see. I believe another Rest in Peace is the card drawn here for Humphries. So it might be time for Terminus here to finally be cast and maybe try to reset things, but it's not a full reset, as we said here, because of the Beast token from the Thragtusk.
Yep. And it's unfortunate, again, Jake not having that 3rd blue is going to hurt him. And here we do see the attack, and if he attacks, he's obviously certainly Terminusing.
Another thing, too, very quickly, is if he's not attacking, if he's reaching for that Restoration Angel and then not attacking with it, I think if you're Korey, it's a dead tell that he does have a Wrath and he's unsure if he wants to cast it or not.
Yep.
But we do see Terminus. It's going to clear up everything. Korey's going to get a Beast token. The rest of the guys are going to go to the bottom of the deck, so it's going to make the Unbearable Rights in Korey's hand a little bit worse. But again, we do know that Korey does have plenty of options in his hand, as he's going to draw a Sun Petal Grove for the turn.
So he just double checks. Do I have any guys? No, still don't have any guys.
See how he wants to navigate this turn. As we did see last turn, Tom, Korey opting not to play the Cavernous Souls electing to miss his land drop on purpose, which I think is perfectly reasonable, where you want to get the most that you can for the Cavernous Souls, and he's not quite sure what he wants to name with it, as he does have access to Obsidat, and maybe he wants to, you know, blow out a Dissipate that way.
He's holding Kratos Behemoth in his hand already, so getting to 8 with a Cavern on Beast is so important.
Yep.
So I'm not sure I like that decision.
As we do see another Snapcaster Mage drawn here, so 2 pair in Humphries' hand, Snapcaster Mage and Rest in Peace. And as you brought up, the big deal here is that he does have that Snapcaster Mage, but he can't Flashback Dissipate. Doesn't have enough blue mana to do it.
So here we're going to end up seeing him almost certainly just Azorius Charm that Beast token. As Korey now has 8th mana in his hand, he would be casting Behemoth here uncounterably if he had just played that Cavern, and it would almost certainly be ending the game. That said, you know, he understands that his advantage isn't going to go away in one turn. He can be patient, and next turn he'll be able to have that same play available to him.
And as you said, we are going to see Snapcaster Mage, we are going to see Azorius Charm. Is it going to target the Angel, or is it going to target the Beast token? That is certainly a good question. It is going to target the Restoration Angel. That's going back on top. He's going to chump block that Beast token now. And now we're going to go to Korey's second main phase. In comes an Overgrown Tomb, and he does just pass the turn back. So now we go back to Humphries. He draws a card. He draws a Hallowed Fountain. So now the Dissipate plan is available. Finally, he may take 2 to be able to put that plan online, and this may be part of the reason that we saw the Cavernous Souls get sandbagged. He might have to take 2 damage himself, which seems ideal. You know, if he does take 2 damage, it's a bit of a tip-off, but at the same time, it might be he just has Sphinx Revelation, he needs to draw another card to get another life. So a lot of things can go through Korey's mind.
Sure, I mean, if Korey had not sandbagged, he would have killed Jake last turn.
Yes, agreed.
But he probably just understands that pair of cards gives him that inevitability regardless.
Yes.
So he's not in any huge rush to pull the trigger.
And that inevitability is never going to go away.
Yep. And here, I mean, Jake's stuck with an awkward decision. If he just pays 2 on the Hallowed Fountain to turn on his Dissipate, and then says go, he's dead to a lot of things.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, he's just dead on board because end of turn Korey will activate that Gathering Township. And I'll activate it again.
And now we are going to see him start with a Flashback Think Twice. Sphinx's Revelation is the draw for the turn. And you could see, you know, how difficult the decision was as he's going to play a Hallowed Fountain tap. He does have that 3 mana available, and even worse for him again because he's having so much trouble with blue mana, something this deck never does. By flashing back Think Twice, he can't even say I'm flashback Think Twice and have Dissipate up. He can't do anything like that right now. As Korey is going to, as you said, activate Gathering Township. The Beast is going to grow to a 4/4. I can't imagine that we don't see a Crater of Behemoth come down this turn through Cavernous Souls.
I agree. I think Korey McDuffie is 1 turn away from winning this match and advancing to the finals of this tournament.
As he is going to draw that Restoration Angel that was put back from the Azorius Charm. You see him move Cavernous Souls to the forefront of his hand. Let's see if McDuffie does come to the conclusion that you and I have in the booth, that it is time for a little hoof. There it is.
And there
it is. As he does name Beast, he is going to tap the 8 mana. He is going to have the trigger. And I think, my friend, we are going to see a Junk Reanimator mirror in the finals, and we are. So Korey McDuffie with Junk Reanimator does defeat Jake Humphries playing Esper Control 2-0. And Tom, it is time for everyone's favorite thing, a Junk Reanimator mirror match.